The other day, there was this big viral story going around about an organization called Free Press demanding the permanent banning of Alex Jones. Alex Jones has basically already been permanently banned across the board, so kind of weird that they were pushing for this in the first place. Here's the thing. I know people from the Free Press. I've supported them. I've donated to them. And I used to have some of their stickers and shirts, and I would promote them. Because originally their goal was to make sure everyone had free and fair access to the internet. Today, for some reason, they're a racial justice organization, which is really weird. And it says to me one thing. First, as many of you know, I'm in favor of racial justice. I believe that social justice is a good thing when it's not being pushed by authoritarians who want to ban everyone they don't agree with. That's not how you go about finding real justice, by forcing people to do things, by lying, cheating, and stealing, etc., etc. You get what I'm saying. The regressive leftists who want to ban everybody, it's the wrong move, okay? But here's the thing. Why is Free Press advocating for racial justice in the first place? They're an organization whose mission statement is to bring about a free press. When they change their statement, it says to me that they don't actually care about any of this. Their actual goal is just to use whatever trendy buzz they can to try and gain power. And now they're advocating for massive corporate power. The reason this is so damn alarming is because during Occupy Wall Street, where I got my start, there were many organizations that wanted to silence the activists who were putting out their own message and bypassing mainstream news. And without this, there would be no Occupy Wall Street. Without the viral video of young women being pepper sprayed by, I believe it was a police captain named Anthony Bologna, there would be no movement. That got national attention. It was a YouTube video. At the time, I believe it was the fastest viral video in the history of YouTube. This was 2011. Today, Free Press is advocating for these large multinational billion-dollar corporations to suppress opinions they don't like. They got dragged like relentlessly across the internet for being an organization called the Free Press and demanding the censorship of Alex Jones. It's weird that every single time I say this, I don't like Alex Jones's content, nor do I watch it, people try to play that game where they go, you're defending Alex Jones. No, I could seriously care less. The issue is organizations are advocating for massive corporate power to silence the opinions of people they don't like. And that is terrifying. I don't care who it happens to. After Alex Jones gets banned, what happens? Twitter banned a wave of Occupy Wall Street linked activists. I warned about this. We all did. We said this is going to happen. They are using Alex Jones as the boogeyman, and then once you give them that precedent, they'll say what we did is no different from what we've always done. Congratulations. I believe it was a couple dozen on Twitter, maybe even hundreds from Twitter and Facebook of left-wing activists who got purged. These left-wing activists who got purged aren't the overtly, they're not the social justice warrior type. They're the anti-government socialist type. There's an overlap, don't get me wrong. Many of them are Antifa-linked. But many of these activists are more about the financial 1% types. It's a different field. And some of these activists are in favor of free speech. They've been purged. Thanks, in part, to organizations like Free Press, which, I gotta say, in my opinion, there's gotta be some kind of fraud when you claim to people that give us your money and we will fight for a free and open internet, and then actively advocate against that. Isn't that deceiving people in exchange for their money? But here's what's really important. They published this, Free Press versus Hate. They're trying to, well, it seems like they're trying to defend themselves in the wake of the scrutiny, but in fact, they've created a ridiculous, duplicitous, contradictory, double-speak statement that makes literally no sense. And it's actually really terrifying when you see what they're claiming. They say that Alex Jones is so racist, homophobic, and xenophobic that Apple, Facebook, Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube banned him and his show InfoWars. We get it. But now he's returned to Facebook with multiple new pages, and they want him banned. This week, Free Press launched a petition calling on Facebook to ban Alex Jones because of, listen, they said it's racist, homophobic, xenophobic, etc. Those things aren't illegal. They're just a violation of terms of service. If the Free Press is advocating for someone to be banned based on completely legal activity, they're calling for their political opponents who they don't like to be removed by a massive corporation who is unaccountable, that exists in multiple countries, right? You see the problem here. Let's set the record straight. Free Press is 100% committed to fighting for free speech, but we want freedom of speech for all. But 100% and all is pretty strange when they're absolute statements. and then you call for banning someone. Free speech for some isn't really free speech. Right, I agree. So then why are you advocating for banning someone you don't like? Freedom of speech has never been fully extended to people of color. Now here's the thing. Listen, he talks about, you don't have to look far into the past for plenty of examples. Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors frequently received death threats online when she exercises her free speech rights. Is free speech a First Amendment issue? Because they do conflate the two in this article. I am a mixed-race individual who receives death threats online for my work. Why are you ignoring me? Why are you focusing only on those politics you actually like? In fact, I don't even disagree with, for the most part, on the social justice politics and racial justice. Why then are you ignoring my thoughts and opinions? Isn't it weird? Maybe it's because they're actually advocating for corporate control of the narrative, and we know exactly where that will lead. Immigrant rights activists and others working for racial and gender justice are often subjected to coordinated attacks. As am I. As am I, frequently. And it's escalated several times into physical violence. And the Free Press know, they know this because I've interviewed them. I know some of these people personally. And side note, when I messaged one of the people who works for this company, this organization, saying, you are paving the way for billionaire corporations to suppress the next Occupy Wall Street, their response was, fuck you, Tim. And then they unfriended me. That's it. That was their response. Okay. So what's really interesting here is they say even those working outside the context of activism, like comedian Leslie Jones, contend with hostility on online platforms or are attacked in real life simply due to their race, gender, religion, or sexual identity. Except Leslie Jones wasn't silenced. Milo was. Milo was in a flame war with Leslie Jones. Milo's fans sent mean things to her, so Twitter banned Milo. Milo was silenced. What's your point? Another really interesting and important point is that they bring up, well, first of all, they bring up change the terms, but they make reference to this. Just this week, a Vermont prosecutor declined to file charges against the man who organized a year-long campaign of online harassment that forced the state's lone African-American legislator, Kia Morris, to resign from office. The prosecutor cited the harasser's freedom of speech. But what about Morris's speech rights? What about it? What about them at all? You made no reference to them saying anything being suppressed. In no way have you displayed in any way that this individual had their speech suppressed. In fact, you've brought up a specific point of the government upholding the right to free speech. They then say, the free press does not condone government censorship. Excuse me, you literally just did. You literally just made reference to a prosecutor not filing charges against a man, and you said, what about their free speech rights? What could you be implying there? You're implying that maybe they should have filed charges, but I thought you said you don't condone government censorship. This whole statement is terrifying and psychotic. And the individuals working within the free press have abandoned all principle. Maybe they never had them in the first place. It is my opinion now, having actually done some work with these people, that they've never held these views, that they are actually just in favor of massive corporate control. And it's possible the only reason they affiliated with information activists during 2011 was to get an in with those who would actually fight for free press. One of the most convenient ways to infiltrate and destroy is to claim to be of the people you're trying to help, free press. Only now we can see their true colors, and they're hoping they can get away with it because they're advocating for racial justice. Thus, many people on the left will blindly say you're right. But isn't it interesting how they have literally advocate for government censorship while at the same time saying no government censorship, while at the same time claiming they're 100% committed to free speech, while actively advocating for banning opinions that are bad? I think those opinions are awful. I completely disagree with all of this, but it's not illegal. And should we allow massive, unaccountable corporations the precedent to remove opinions one political faction doesn't like? Why would they be advocating for this? I have to wonder. Maybe it's because when Occupy Wall Street happened, activists were able to mobilize people across the country to stand up for what they believed in, to fight against the elite and those in power, and these companies were powerless to stop them because there was no precedent for any of this. Now, don't get me wrong, they could still ban whoever they want. But think about the outrage if in a moment's notice they said we're getting rid of Occupy. The protests would have gotten bigger. Over the past several years, they have slowly eroded this freedom, and it's working. Out of nowhere, in October, Occupy Wall Street activists were purged from Twitter without notice. And they claimed it was linked to inauthentic behavior and Russian bots. And there you have it. This is what they want to become normal. They want to be able to say, oh, but they were racist. How long until there's an activist who says we need to do X, Y, and Z, we need to change the world, and Facebook says racism and deletes it? This organization is, in my opinion, evil, pro-corporate, pro-billionaire, pro-1%. They are advocating for policies that we have seen has resulted in the purging of left-wing activists. And you know what's going to happen? Well, I'll end by saying this. This statement is absolutely insane. They say, the Free Press does not condone government censorship. The Change the Terms campaign and our call to ban Alex Jones has nothing to do with government restrictions on free speech, which is what the First Amendment prohibits. No one brought up the First Amendment. No one criticized you for violating the First Amendment. Nobody said the Free Press is at fault for calling for an end to the First Amendment. The Free Press was criticized for claiming to advocate for a free and open internet, but then advocating for the banning of certain ideas, which is quite contrary to a free and open internet. What they're actually advocating for is corporate control and corporate power. These people are evil. And that's why when I confronted one of the staff members and said, what you are doing is paving the way for banning the next Occupy Wall Street, their response was, fuck you, Tim. And they unfriended me. That's it. That's where we are. Stick around. I got more videos coming up in a few minutes.